Hello everyone and welcome back to the NLW podcast. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. I think it's like over 2 months now, and I really wanted to get back at it. This is the one thing that I probably missed the most in my break, was just kind of doing these weekly updates in podcast form. I think as you can tell, I'm kind of like a lot calmer than I normally am, and that's because I find this podcast quite therapeutic in a way, just to kind of, I don't know, organise my thoughts in an audio format and just really kind of reflect on what I've been working on. And yeah, I don't know, it's just really helpful. And you know, it doesn't do the best views-wise, but I know that there's a fair few people who do listen to this podcast every week and enjoy it. So I'm going to continue it for the foreseeable future, just for my sake as well as yours. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff in this video. What's been going on in wrestling? There's a lot. You know, with Triple H, Vince McMahon, that whole thing, AEW heading into All Out, as well as, you know, the figure news, the San Diego Comic-Con, all the figures I want from that event, I'm going to be talking about. And I'm also going to be talking about what I'm working on with NLW. So, yeah, we'll just start with that. What I'm working on at the moment is I've started off Metal Revival now. So, everything up till Metal Revival has been filmed. I've even filmed an episode of NLW for After Revival. And my goal right now, and I'll explain this in a Q&A video that I'm intending to upload on this channel in like a week or two. I'll go into more detail in that maybe, but it's something that I've really been wanting to do, is to kind of put less pressure on myself, because I feel like, I don't know, in the kind of YouTube game, if you take an extended break, it can hurt your algorithm, it can make people forget about you, and you know, that's fine. The kind of core of people who watch your stuff will come back, but I don't know, it's kind of worrying to take a break because it does dip your momentum a little bit. And that was what I was worried with when I stopped doing NLW for like 2 months, was, am I going to be able to get on a roll when I come back? And the response to NLW 104 was overwhelmingly positive, so I'm really thankful for that. Thank you for everyone who's commented and liked that video and watched it. It is something that I'm trying to kind of ease my way back into, because I think before, for sure, I was trying to do all these different series. Like, I was trying to do NLW 24/7 every week. I was trying to get a metal wrestling done every week, an NLW done every week. I was trying to do all these side series like the Raw and SmackDown Rebooked, and then the Raw and SmackDown Ruthless shows. I really was overstretching myself, as well as like trying to produce content for this channel. You know, I was thinking I was going to get a video done every day on this one, and it's way too much for one person. You know, I'm doing this on my own. I'm trying to edit, upload, and also carry like a part-time job at the same time outside of this. So, you know, you get in your own head a little bit, and it does cause you to burn out. And I think just I don't know, I was really determined to just get as much done as possible, and then you realise that it's really quality over quantity, and that's what I'm really prioritising now. As much as I did enjoy all the side series I was doing, really going back to basics and just focusing on the NLW, the metal, and the NLW 24/7, I think is really going to help me. And I'm not going to stop uploading on this channel, far from it, but I'm not going to pressure myself to make a video like every day or even every couple of days. You know, I'm trying to go with a formula of the podcast every Tuesday on YouTube and early on Patreon, and then once a week on NLW Figs, I'll put a video out on Thursday. So, you know, I've got a bunch in the can. Like, I've got a figure collection, I've got a room tour, I've got all sorts of different like arena setup videos coming up too. So really just trying to make sure that I don't overwhelm myself with the amount of work I produce is key. And that's where Metal Revival comes into it. You know, before I had all these big plans for, I'm going to have this be a massive card, you know, with all these different matches. And realistically, it's just not going to be possible. So I'm trying to limit myself to the 6 matches that I've got at the moment. Of course, 2 of them will be revealed on the next Metal episode. But at the moment, we've got the hardcore title match between Darby Allin and Sami Callihan, the metalweight title between Samoa Joe and Drew McIntyre, and then kind of the main 2, which is the Lethal Lockdown match and the Barbed Wire match, which I'm really looking forward to filming on those. So, releasing one of those matches a week, hopefully around September. We'll see how that goes, but that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. I've got the Metal Revival Arena set up, and I'm just trying to film all sorts of stuff for that. And also just trying to get NLW 24/7 match requests out of the way, because I've obviously fallen behind a lot on Patreon with this break and everything. So on Patreon at the moment, and you may have seen my Instagram where I've announced in the next couple of weeks 3 NLW 24/7 shows, and they're some of the best matches that I've ever made, in my opinion at least. Particularly this Iron Man match I've got coming up between CM Punk and Kazuchika Okada. I've just finished editing that, and that'll be on the channel on like August 27th, I think, and it's already up on Patreon for the people listening over there. So I'm really excited with the future of NLW. Like, I've got a good kind of grasp on things, and you know, to anyone who's kind of struggling with mental health issues and stuff, taking a break is fine. Like, the most important thing you can do for yourself is taking breaks and not trying to push yourself to do too much or overthink things. And it sounds a bit obvious, and you know, who am I to tell other people how to kind of treat their own kind of issues going on in their lives? But for me, definitely feeling burnt out and kind of unsure of myself, this break has been amazing for me. It's worked wonders, and I might even like do an annual kind of leave of absence for a month. I'm thinking like January, because that's when kind of views dip anyway, with like a big finale in December around Christmas. So at least for me, the plan at the moment, I've tried to write out like a schedule of events, but from now on, I'm not going to announce the date of things until I've actually filmed stuff. So the only reason I've announced dates for the NLW 24/7 shows is because I've filmed them already and they're already done. And they'll be uploaded on the times that I've said on my Instagram. And that's another thing. My Instagram is going to be way more filled with content and kind of extra photos and other things like match announcements and things. So that's where you really want to be, at NLW Instagram, for all the latest news and updates. That's where I deliver most of the news. So at this moment in time, I'm trying to film Samoa Joe versus Drew McIntyre, but I don't know. Again, like, if I start to feel a little bit burnt out again, like, I was filming all last week, so I really think that maybe for the next couple of days, I just need to take a breather, take a break, and kind of reassess where I want to be with the filming. But yeah, that's all I've really been working on. Like I've said, just trying to not do too much and really focus on getting shows filmed heading into WrestleMania, which is going to be a big, big show. And I really want that to be kind of my next big project, which I'm hoping to start releasing in the new year at this moment. But again, like, it could be later, could be earlier. We'll see how it goes. And now that kind of brings me on to figure news. Obviously, the San Diego Comic-Con was very exciting to see all the new releases. And of course, I heard my wallet screaming at me to not buy anything from the other side of the room. So with that in mind, there are a lot of figures that were released. And too many to kind of name off the top of my head, but I will tell you like the 10 figures that I'm either released recently or were kind of announced at the Comic-Con that I really want in my collection. So first of all, we've got the AJ Styles from late WCW Nitro. Oh my god, a TNA AJ Styles kind of era, that is like a dream come true for me. That is one that I'm going to spend big bucks for when it comes out. Just incredible that we're getting all these kind of Legends figures, and I would love to see more kind of like classic, guys under contract who may have had jobber matches like Bobby Roode, like an early Team Canada-esque thing from when he was on Velocity, that sort of thing. Number 2, one that I really want, is the Ultimate Edition Brock Lesnar, the one that comes with the 2 championship belts, and the new head scan and the different like screaming head scans and stuff. Because I've only got like one Elite modern Brock Lesnar, and I don't have the Ultimate Edition from the old one. So this is one that I definitely want to pick up, being a big fan of his, as I have been. I also want to pick up the Chase Eddie Guerrero that's been released recently, or is on a back order at the moment. I know it kind of looks like he's straining in his head scan, but I don't care. I love Eddie Guerrero, so I'll most likely pick that up. I'm going on the Ringside Collectibles website to see what else I can pre-order, because there's a bunch. The next 2 as well that I really, really want are the Supreme collection for AEW. Seeing Britt Baker and the Cody Rhodes, I've just been really like I really want to get my bank balance lower for those two because just the amount of possibilities with those figures. There's about 5 different combinations you can get with each figure, so it's well worth the money, at least in my opinion. And then the next set is going to be Malachi Black and Kenny Omega, which I'm really looking forward for them being released. In terms of other figures, like, let's just have a look down. I mean, all of these greatest hits series as well, I want to get the whole set of those, and I've seen they're up on Smith's at the moment to be released in October here in the UK. So that those all a must get, including The Rock with his signature jacket, as well as the Rey Mysterio with like the kind of Halloween Day of the Dead mask. And obviously as well the Ultimate Editions for Jeff Hardy, because I love my Jeff Hardy figures. I want to get more Jeff Hardys in my collection. And it's recently gone down in price a little bit, even though it's on a back order, and likewise the Roman Reigns Ultimate Edition are ones that I would really like to get. I'm looking on here, this Rambo for $289 is not one that I want to get because I'm not made of money. But there's also others like Ilya Dragunov, King Nakamura, and these unmatched figures like the Kenny Omega with the funky Hawaiian jacket and the sunglasses is one I really want to get. There's so many for pre-order, man. Like, and there's even ones that haven't even been announced yet on the site. Like this Bron Breakker basic I want to get, as well as like the Chainsaw Charlie looks pretty cool too. The Ronda Rousey in the promo attire, and of course these Royal Rumble figures as well. I forgot about like the Vader, Rey Mysterio, Damian Priest, Brie Bella. Well, 4 out of bad, but yeah, just all those Builder figures and the Survivor Series ones too, with the classic McIntyre and the Becky Lynch and all sorts. So there are a lot of figures that I would really like to add to my collection. Like, and obviously I don't have the money for all of them. In fact, probably barely any of them. But that Rey Mysterio yellow and pink as well. Any Rey Mysterio figures I really want to get. Those are the 2 main areas I want to kind of build the collection around, is the Rey Mysterios, because there's so many different variations. Likewise, the Jeff Hardy. But I have put a note in my phone that says, every day, morning and night, do not buy figures today, because I really, really want to save my money. And I really want to try and make sure that, because when I did the figure collection video, it was kind of a wake-up call to how many figures I've got, because I've just put them out on shelves, and like my new kind of strategy now is, if I'm not going to need it for NLW, I'm not going to buy it. But it's very, very, very tempting to get everything you can, but obviously it's not possible, especially when you're on a budget. So for now, I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to try for the month of August not to buy any figures, and come September, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But I really don't want to break the bank for the remainder of the year until Black Friday comes along, and we'll see what figures are still available and on a reduced rate, because my main focus is getting NLW done at the moment. I don't want to be buying loads and loads of new figures. So with that in mind, we'll move on to wrestling news, because figure news, it just makes me want to spend money. But we'll see into the wrestling landscape, as it were, and I kind of go over it in the Q&A that I'm uploading soon. But Triple H in charge of WWE, what a first 2 weeks he's had, from the SummerSlam show, where just had an incredible array of matches on it. Some sick returns as well. You've got the new trio of Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. And watching Raw, it did drag a little bit, I must admit, with the no commercial first hour. However, what a show! Like, so, I don't want to hop on the Triple H bandwagon, because I know it's a bit cliche, to kind of hop on the bandwagon when everyone's saying, oh, he's saving WWE. But genuinely, like, the show was so good. I enjoyed it so much. Like, from the opening triple threat that you had with AJ Styles, Ali, and The Miz, all of them working together really well, and AJ Styles hitting that sick counter from the 450 into the Styles Clash, great stuff. Edge coming back as a main character, the Mysterios as well. Just simple wrestling in like the sense of, Bianca Belair wants a match with Io Sky, and now she's going to get it. And just stuff making sense on the show that, I don't know, I'm really, really like into at the moment. I think there's a worry that perhaps stuff could go too much in the direction of just straight wrestling. You need a little bit of spice in there, a little bit of flavor in terms of like promos and angles and stuff. But hopefully he can kind of strike a balance with his creative, because SmackDown was also really fun to watch from start to finish, especially like Karrion Kross coming back in the main event. I know a lot of people aren't too fond of Karrion Kross, but I think as a character, I think that's what they need. As opposed to like just, I am a wrestler, I like to wrestle. They need those characters in there, and I think that Karrion Kross can be one of those guys who kind of, can be slotted into the main event. Whatever you think of his wrestling, really, I think his ability is good enough, in my opinion. Like, I saw his match versus Finn Balor last year. I think it proves that he can be competent in the ring. And, it's not all about the in-ring stuff, because I think WWE, as much as people kind of crap on it a lot, I think it's been good this year for a lot of it. There's been some times where it's taken a downswing, but, Cody Rhodes, his run was fantastic. I can't wait for him to come back. Likewise, the RK Bro stuff, I can't wait for Randy Orton to come back from injury. So the talent roster in WWE at the moment is stacked. And it's stacked in AEW as well. I just feel like AEW, though, is missing a little bit of something. Dynamite this past week was okay, but I don't know, it's missing some sort of buzz that it really had this time last year heading into All Out. Whether it's injuries to like CM Punk and Kenny Omega, big names being off the show, but it shouldn't really be an excuse, because they've got such a stacked roster that you think it would, be have the kind of momentum it had last year when All Out was happening. So I don't know why the product is as stale as it is. Maybe Tony Khan needs another kind of second in creative to kind of bounce ideas off of. Because, I don't know, I feel like they need more angles, in my opinion, because it's great to have unannounced matches and random matches every week that blow people away, which I'll get to in a moment. But it just feels, I don't know, things don't feel special at the moment. And hopefully after All Out, they can regain some momentum, because ultimately in my wrestling, I want every company to do well. I think Impact Wrestling's been doing really good stuff recently too, but just kind of inject a little bit of life into AEW that it's kind of lacking at the moment, whatever the reason may be. But I'm sure they can do it. But yeah, like wrestling in general, I don't like the tribalism online. I think everything's great. Whatever your kind of flavor of wrestling is, you should just kind of support it and watch it, and enjoy it. But yeah, that's all that's really been going on in wrestling. Like, the G1's continuing, but I've not really been keeping up with it, to be honest. 4 blocks, I think, is a bit too much, but that's just my opinion. Now we come on to match and wrestler of the week. So, match of the week. Even though I've only caught highlights of it, I still need to watch it in full. Match of the week is going to be Claudio Castagnoli versus Konosuke Takeshita from AEW Battle of the Belts 3 for the Ring of Honor Championship. And this just reminds me how much I'm going to miss Takeshita in AEW. I think, I know he's going back to Japan, I believe, so he won't be around in the States much longer. So, man, I love Takeshita. He's so good in that ring. His match against Hangman was great a couple weeks ago, and him and Claudio really just had some great chemistry in that ring, and that makes me really want to see Ring of Honor back on TV, because I loved Death Before Dishonor a lot more than I've enjoyed any AEW pay-per-view recently, or even WWE pay-per-view for that matter. But the kind of basic hard-hitting style that Claudio can bring, I think, is fantastic, and in that spot as kind of like the workhorse, I don't think he needs to be a promo guy, really, because he's in a position now where he is the Ring of Honor champion, and hopefully he can kind of elevate that title to a new level, and it's quite fitting that he's the champion. And, the stuff that I saw on Twitter of these two guys, just, they really mesh so well, and hopefully Takeshita can come back to the States sooner rather than later. It's a shame that most of the stuff on his arrival at AEW has been kind of out of the blue and not really given much build to it. That's one of the main gripes I have with AEW. They'll just kind of put something out there for the sake of it, like Moxley and Mance Warner. As much as I love to see new guys on TV, I feel like you need to have a little bit of more of a reason than your world champion facing just, as much as Mance Warner is great in his way in GCW, just kind of, making things feel a little bit more cohesive in terms of storytelling. But yeah, Claudio and Takeshita, blow-away match, I should say. Would definitely recommend you check that out if you're going to check out any match this week. And my MVP of the week, it's difficult though. There's a bunch of cool stuff that's been happening on both shows. I'll give it to Ciampa though, because I'm just happy that he is getting a chance now under Triple H. I thought that he worked really well in his triple threat, and I think he worked well against AJ Styles in his match on Raw. And, I know that there's been some criticism, Triple H bringing back all the guys and kind of pushing his guys, but I think that Ciampa is someone that you can push on his own, and I wouldn't even necessarily want him to break away from The Miz. I think The Miz could be a great mouthpiece for Ciampa, even though Ciampa can cut a promo on his own. I would expect Lashley to beat Ciampa, and I hope that happens next week. However, I think Ciampa will have a good showing if he can be ruthless against Lashley and kind of lose by the skin of his teeth. I think that'll put him over big time and put him in another angle where he's really kind of like aggressive, and he's kind of the Ciampa of old under the Miz's tutelage, kind of using him as like a kind of sadistic kind of corner man. I think would be a great angle. And that's another kind of, not a criticism I would have of the Triple H reign. It's just that, I've seen some people say online that you don't want Triple H to just completely eradicate every storyline that's been going, because there's been some good stuff under Vince, like the Ezekiel stuff. I think has really grown into its own. I think it's really cool. And likewise, like trying to think off the top of my head, the what was it? The Sami Zayn stuff, with the Bloodline. I would hope to see that progressed. Even Omos, I think there is a role for him on the show, and it gives it a little bit of variety. Maybe not have him in too many matches, but just as a kind of like a presence on screen, I think that he does add to the product. But that's, again, nitpicks that it's just hypotheticals, really. So, match of the week, Takeshita and Claudio, and Wrestler of the Week, Ciampa. And next week, looking forward to what the Triple H era brings. And also, AEW's Quake in the Lake looks like a solid show, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out heading in to All Out. So, we'll go with the Patreon shouts out next. I'm mixing it up a little bit this week. I'll do the Patreon shouts out, and then what you can expect to see from NLW in the next couple of weeks. So big shouts out to Kid Zap, Outros World, Casey Hellschool, Devon Downlin, Ryan McCarthy, Cupid, Anthony Hill, Cringe God, Flynn Lampkin, John and Remy Montoya. Thank you for being patrons. If you'd like to be a patron, hold off a little bit, because I've paused billing, so the content is paused for a moment. So I'm not going to be doing any match requests until hopefully at least October, But that said, all you patrons, if you're listening, you can still get all the content for free, as I've paused billing, so you won't be charged for the month of August or September. So we will leave it there. In terms of NLW updates, what's coming this week? Well, on Thursday, I've got a room tour coming out. It's either a room tour or an arena update. I haven't decided which one I'm going to release yet, but either way, you're going to see kind of a new kind of setup of some sort this Thursday, including maybe a Q&A coming at some point this week or next week. I haven't decided as well. But on Saturday, you're going to see NLW 24/7 Backlash. That features a massive Fatal 4-Way main event as the Hardy Boys, DX, the Golden Lovers, and the Young Bucks face off in a huge main event you don't want to miss. And some big developments heading into the next event, All Out. And then the week after, it's the return of Metal Wrestling on the 20th of August. And after that, 27th of August, it's going to be NLW 24/7 All Out. And then the week after should be Road to Revival. Week after that, One Night Stand. And then the week after that, hopefully, I will start uploading Revival. So that is the schedule for the next couple of Saturdays. Moving forward on the main channel, in terms of this channel, the podcast will be every Tuesday on YouTube and every Monday on Patreon. And also videos every Thursday for the next month or so. So that is it for the podcast. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and I would hope to see you for the next one. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you later.